There's a strange moment that happens to many people. You finally get an opportunity, something you've wanted for a long time, a project, a promotion, a chance to start something meaningful. And instead of excitement, you feel resistance. You hesitate. You delay replying to the message. You overthink the decision. You suddenly become very busy doing other things that somehow feel more urgent. And then, quietly, the opportunity fades. What's confusing is this: you wanted it. So why did you avoid it? Here's what most people don't realize. Sometimes you're not avoiding failure. You're avoiding success. Success sounds attractive in theory, but psychologically, it comes with consequences. More responsibility, more visibility, higher expectations, less room to hide. And your brain notices that, even if you don't consciously think about it. Your brain isn't designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you safe. And safety often means staying within what is familiar, predictable, controllable, even when that familiarity isn't ideal, even when you consciously want something better. This is where things become interesting, because avoidance doesn't always look like avoidance. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. Sometimes it looks like waiting for the right moment. And sometimes it looks completely rational. Emma sat in front of her laptop staring at an email. It wasn't a bad email. In fact, objectively, it was a good one. Someone had responded to her portfolio. They were interested in working with her. They wanted to schedule a call. For weeks, she had hoped for exactly this message. And now it was here. Her chest felt tight. Her mind started generating thoughts. What if I'm not ready? What if they expect too much? What if I disappoint them? What if I say something wrong? She opened the reply window, typed a sentence, deleted it, closed the laptop. She told herself she would answer tomorrow, when she felt more prepared. Tomorrow became 2 days. 2 days became a week. Eventually, she never responded. Later, she told a friend, "I guess it just wasn't meant to be." But something inside her felt unsettled, because she knew she had stepped away from something she actually wanted. Baron stood calmly beside her, observing. Your brain does something very predictable in moments like this. It doesn't evaluate success based on rewards. It evaluates success based on uncertainty. And success is full of uncertainty. When you move towards something bigger, 3 psychological alarms activate simultaneously. Identity uncertainty. Who will I be if this works? Expectation pressure. What if I can't maintain it? Social exposure. People will see me more clearly. These are not trivial concerns to your nervous system. They are perceived risks. Your brain evolved in environments where social status changes could mean survival consequences. Being more visible meant more scrutiny. More scrutiny meant potential rejection. And rejection, historically, meant danger. So when success increases visibility, your brain interprets it as potential threat. Not consciously, but neurologically. You might be thinking, but I want success. Why would my brain block something I want? Because desire and safety operate in different neural systems, and safety usually wins. But that's only part of the story. Because sometimes, you don't just fear the risks of success. You fear the consequences of changing your life. Emma imagined what would happen if she accepted the opportunity. New clients, more responsibility, deadlines, maybe needing to say no to people, maybe earning more money. And that thought, surprisingly, made her uncomfortable. She had always seen herself as someone who was trying. Trying is safe. Trying doesn't create expectations. Trying allows room for mistakes. Success removes the protective layer of, I'm still figuring things out. Success creates a new identity. And identity changes feel psychologically dangerous, even when they're positive. So her brain did something subtle. It created friction, fatigue, doubt, distraction, overthinking, all perfectly logical reasons to wait. But underneath, it was avoidance. This is where it gets fascinating. Your brain is deeply attached to consistency. There's a psychological principle called self-concept stability. You maintain an internal narrative about who you are. I'm someone who struggles with confidence. I'm someone who's still learning. I'm someone who hasn't found the right opportunity yet. These narratives are not just thoughts. They are regulatory anchors for your nervous system. When success threatens to change that narrative quickly, your brain experiences cognitive dissonance. And one way to reduce dissonance is to avoid the situation. Not because you don't want success, but because you want psychological stability. Here's the perspective shift most people never consider. Avoidance of success is often a form of self-protection, not self-sabotage. Protection. Your brain is trying to prevent overwhelm, exposure, identity shock, emotional risk. It's attempting to keep your internal world predictable. The problem is, predictability and growth rarely coexist. One evening, Emma noticed a pattern. She remembered other moments, not applying for a program she wanted, not posting work she was proud of, not following up on opportunities. Each time, the same feeling appeared, a mix of excitement and tension. And she always interpreted the tension as a warning. But what if it wasn't a warning? What if it was simply unfamiliar territory? That thought stayed with her. Your nervous system is designed to interpret unfamiliar states as potential threats. There's a structure called the amygdala that scans for uncertainty and novelty. Novelty equals unknown outcomes. Unknown outcomes equal potential risk. So when success moves you into unfamiliar territory, your brain produces anxiety signals, not because something is wrong, but because something is new. This distinction changes everything. Anxiety does not always mean danger. Sometimes it means expansion. There's another layer most people don't see. Success increases responsibility. Responsibility increases the possibility of failure at a higher level, and your brain performs a cost-benefit analysis. If I stay where I am, I avoid bigger losses. Avoidance becomes a risk management strategy. This is why people sometimes procrastinate important tasks, delay decisions, miss opportunities, downplay their ambitions. It reduces emotional exposure, short-term relief, long-term limitation. The mind is surprisingly creative when protecting you. It can produce thoughts like, I'll start when I feel more confident. I just need to prepare a bit more. Now isn't the perfect time. Which is interesting, because confidence usually comes after action, not before. Your brain is basically saying, let's wait until swimming feels comfortable before entering the water. A reasonable request. Unfortunately, not how swimming works. So what can you actually do? Not through force, but through understanding. Step 1. Recognize the signal. Notice when hesitation appears around positive opportunities. Ask yourself, am I avoiding failure or avoiding change? That question alone increases awareness. Step 2. Separate anxiety from meaning. Anxiety is a physiological state. It does not automatically contain information about whether something is good or bad. Instead of asking, why am I anxious? Try, what about this situation is unfamiliar? Step 3. Reduce identity shock. Your brain resists sudden identity shifts, so create gradual transitions. Instead of, I'm becoming successful, think, I'm experimenting with the next version of myself. Experiments feel safer than transformations. Step 4. Normalize expansion. Discomfort. Growth feels unstable because it is unstable. New environments require new neural pathways. Your brain needs repetition to create comfort. So discomfort is not evidence you're doing something wrong. It's evidence you're doing something new. The next time Emma received an opportunity, the same feeling appeared. Tension in her chest. Thoughts of doubt. A desire to delay. But this time, she paused. Instead of interpreting the feeling as danger, she interpreted it as unfamiliarity. She replied to the message. Her hands were slightly shaking. Nothing catastrophic happened. The conversation was normal, even pleasant. And afterward, she noticed something surprising. Relief, not because she succeeded, but because she moved forward despite discomfort. Here's the deeper truth. Avoiding success isn't about laziness. It isn't about lack of ambition. It's about nervous system regulation. Your brain prefers predictable discomfort over unpredictable improvement, because predictable discomfort feels controllable. But once you understand this mechanism, you gain choice. You can recognize when hesitation is protection, not prophecy. You can move forward with awareness instead of force. And that changes the relationship between you and your own mind. Success rarely feels like confidence at the beginning. It often feels like uncertainty, exposure, vulnerability, which is why many people step away without realizing what they're doing. But awareness creates a new possibility. The next time you feel resistance around something you want, pause, not to retreat, but to observe. Because sometimes, the discomfort you're feeling isn't a signal to stop. It's a signal that your life might be expanding. If this video helped you see your behavior differently, consider subscribing. Not for motivation, but for understanding.